Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would yield myself such time as I may consume.
Gentleman is recognized.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate the good comments from the chairman of the Navy and Marine Corps Subcommittee, Chairman Taylor, and he's got it absolutely right. This is pretty straightforward. This is just whether you want a good deal on buying something. There is a little bit more to it. And I would join with the many members of the Armed Services Committee, including Gene Taylor from Mississippi, and rise in support of 6102. This legislation was included in Section 122 of the fiscal year 2011 National Defense Authorization Act, which was passed unanimously by the subcommittee, the full committee, and by a majority of this House in May. Unfortunately, the Senate has not yet passed its version of the fiscal year 2011 defense bill. It's essential we pass the authorities contained in 6102 prior to the end of fiscal year 2010, which is why the chairman and I have co-sponsored this standalone bill today. Simply put, the legislation would ensure that the Navy can enter into a multi-year procurement contract for FA18E, F, and G aircraft, which would save the Navy and taxpayers almost $600 million. The Navy plans to buy 124 of these aircraft between now and 2013. This bill would make no changes to the quantity to be procured. Rather, the Navy has a choice between buying these aircraft in 4 one-year increments or spend nearly $600 million less by using one 4-year contract. Basically, you're just getting a volume discount. Congress already gave the Navy the authority to use the multi-year contract in the fiscal year 2010 National Authorization Act, but the Department of Defense was late in submitting a request to report to Congress regarding the terms of the contract. It was due in March, and the Navy submitted the report in May. Due to the Department's delay, unless we provide a one-time fix or extension of this due date, the authority to sign the multi-year contract will expire by the end of the month. This is the correction that was made by the 2011 Defense Authorization Bill passed by the House and also captured by 6102. It's true that the Department of Defense was slow to embrace the FA18 multi-year contract, but eventually saw the wisdom in entering into this 4-year contract for 124 of the Navy fighter planes. The House Armed Services Committee has been pursuing the Navy to consider this contracting strategy for nearly 3 years. In 2008, I inserted language into the 2009 Defense Authorization Act requiring the Department of Defense to report to Congress on the potential cost savings of a multi-year contract for FA18s. Last year, I successfully added an amendment to the Defense Authorization Act giving the Navy the authority to enter into a multi-year contract for FA18s. This year, I added an amendment to the House-passed Defense Authorization Act, adding 8 additional FA18s to help address the Navy's looming fighter shortfall. Although this bill would not have been necessary had Secretary Gates embraced the cost savings measure for the outset, I'm nonetheless pleased to see that his 11th hour efforts to secure approval for the multi-year contract are in keeping with his well-publicized position on reducing wasteful defense spending. Likewise, I'm hopeful that the Secretary will remain consistent with his new and positive stance on savings and competition as the Armed Services Committees consider additional ways in which to maximize taxpayer dollars. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, this bill will save over $500 million in taxpayer money while providing virtual stability to the fine Americans who build these planes, vital stability to the fine Americans who build these planes in St. Louis and across the country. I want to thank Congressman Taylor for his leadership and support in this issue, and I urge the Senate to pass this bill quickly. And I have no need to reserve the balance of my time, I don't think, so I yield back.